Welcome to another Life During Lockdown video of the Medway Village Church. This is a sharing moment when we get to hear how life is going on in our community during the lockdown due to the coronavirus. In this video, I chat with Dietrich, who directs the Medway Village Church Food Pantry. Take a listen. Doing this interview online via Zoom, and we want to have a chat with Dietrich, who is quite an active person in our community. But more active for us as a Medway Village Church is that you're involved with the food pantry. So would you please just tell us a bit of a background of how you started, how long you have done it, and so forth?
I'd be happy to. Thank you. So I first came to the Medway Village Church Food Pantry back in the fall of 2013, and we discovered the food pantry quite by accident. So our younger son, Aiden, for his 8th birthday, decided that instead of having his friends bring birthday presents to his party, he would collect non-perishable food, and then we would donate it to a local food pantry. So I said, this is great. And before long, I had a table full of food at my house, and then had the problem of identifying, where is there a food pantry in Medway? Because I didn't know. Yeah. And so I Googled it, and the first one to come up was the Medway Village Church Pantry. And on the website, it said you could come after services on a Sunday, or you could leave donations in the north side of the church. And I thought, oh, we could do that. So Aiden and I filled the trunk of the car, and we drove to the church, and we tried to time it so that it would be right near 11 o'clock so as not to disturb the service. So he and I went sneaking into the church. And so we're creeping up the steps, and we go creeping in the door, and we're looking around to see if we can find a place to donate. We can hear the services just ending. And the back door of the church opens, and who do you think pops out? Take a guess.
I would guess Marilyn.
It was Marilyn. It was Marilyn Conley, who was at the time the director of the pantry. And she's big smile. Hello, welcome. What can I do for you? And so we introduced ourselves and explained what we were doing. And she said, oh, wonderful. Well, I just happened to be the director of the food pantry. Come on downstairs. So she was our first introduction to the Medway Village Church Food Pantry. And as you can imagine, it was such a good impression that it stuck. And so we started coming on Saturdays, at least a couple times a month, and helping to restock the shelves and volunteer. And then it grew from there. Our family's been involved. This is actually coming up on this fall will be 7 years that we've been involved. And I took over as director for Maryland back in the summer of 2017. So I've been director now for about 2.5 years, and Marilyn is still instrumental in the pantry. She's absolutely my right hand and is still very involved, but gives her the flexibility to be able to step away and not have to do some of the day-to-day that she's done for all these years. So we've enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. Now, this food pantry serves a lot of people in the area, but not just in the area, but people come quite a distance in the radius of this. How do people come in? What sort of validation do you have to come to the food pantry?
Sure. So the only requirement we have is that a client is a resident of the state of Massachusetts. And that is based on our agency agreement with the Greater Boston Food Bank. So one of the requirements that we agreed to in order to participate in MEFAP, which is the Massachusetts Emergency Food Assistance Program, one of the requirements is that we distribute food only to Massachusetts residents. And so we absolutely abide by that. We rely on MEFAP food, which makes up a good percentage. I would say at least a quarter of the food that we receive from the Greater Boston Food Bank comes through the MEFAP program. So really all we need is we need household information. Someone comes and gives their name, address, phone number, and then we need to know general categories of people in the house, how many children, how many adults 18 to 64, and how many senior citizens 65 or older. And then we do ask if there are veterans in the household or if anyone has a gluten restriction in their diet, because we have a partnership with the Gluten-Free Food Bank in Natick, so we can offer gluten-free food as well.
Wow, that's neat. And you mentioned your family. Your family is the one that actually made you come, your son Aiden, and they have been involved. How has that been? Because for many young people, it's hard to get them to go out of the house or do something out the house. How does that work for you? Because that's very neat.
Absolutely. So I've been very fortunate with the boys. They've known for years because I was involved. So initially it was a couple times a month, and we'd go on a Saturday, all four of us, and help restock the shelves. So they enjoyed it. Marilyn's personality is contagious. She's wonderful, and she certainly is a draw. So they always felt good every time they went, and that always helped. And then through the years, as they got older, they came to enjoy, both of them are in Boy Scouts. So Liam, who's now a freshman in college, is an Eagle Scout, and he did his Eagle Scout project for the food pantry. Aiden is a Life Scout and working toward his Eagle. He's actually looking into a couple project ideas as well to help the pantry. But for them, they really made a connection with the people. So one of the things that has been a long-term sustainable influence with the food pantry is it's not really about the food. It is. That's a very important thing that we do, but it's about the connection and the relationship and the people, not just the other volunteers, but connecting with our clients as well. And so it's actually impressive. Since we moved it to Saturday mornings, the kids will get up on their own, no complaints. And I've offered, I said, you don't have to come. And they said, no, we want to. We enjoy coming. And it's something, even Liam, when he comes back from break at college, he looks forward to coming back and stopping in at the food pantry. So. No,
thank you very much that your family is in with you with support and so on. But we're in the middle of this lockdown over a month now, and I want to go to how this has affected the food pantry. What have you done? But first of all, how have you responded to the lockdown as a family? What's been going on? Would you share with us what is like the lockdown in your house?
Sure. So one of the first moments that really reality set in for our family was when we had to go on March 15th. We drove up to college campus and picked up Liam for the end of his freshman year on campus. And so for us, we've had all four of us together under one roof since March 15th. And right away, we accepted the social distancing and the importance of not increasing exposure. We recognize that we're in a very serious time, and so everyone has to do their very best. The boys have been wonderful about not asking, hey, can I go see my friends? Can I go out and play basketball with them? Or they understand this is a very unique time that we're in, and it's going to require the sacrifice of face-to-face with their friends. So they've been great. They're keeping up with their friends remotely. So we have a lot of FaceTime calls, and it's funny, you can hear them chatting with their friends in different parts of the house, but it's nice to see that they've embraced staying connected and still interacting with their friends. And then we've also done things as a family. So we have board game tournaments. So we choose a board game, and then it always has to be at least a best of three, because if you only play once, then that could be a fluke, and twice you could get lucky twice. But if you do it three times, then you could be declared a champion. So we've been doing some things like that, family hikes, and it's been nice to reconnect inside the house.
So what kind of games have you played? What's a game that is going on right now in your house?
So we just finished Clue, which I found out I played as a kid growing up, and Aiden had played it with a couple of friends. We've had it in the house. Liam had not played it until he graduated high school. He had a friend who liked it, so they played. And my husband did not play it until we started this tournament. So we think he was at a bit of a disadvantage having not had the prior playing experience. But it was great. So we had loads of fun accusing all of our characters of who committed the murder in what room and with what weapon. And we had a great time. For a while, we were tied. We had 2, 2, and 2 for the victories, and Marty was at 1 and catching up. And then Liam broke the tie, and he is our current champion of Clue.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's good to have this time together as a family. One of the things that we want to appreciate with this lockdown, as much as it is restricting so many other things of life, but it has opened up a door for our connection as families, isn't it? And that's one of the blessings, silver lining, so to speak. So the lockdown was looming, and you realize that the state has put restrictions, and those restrictions had really not much of a bearing because you are an essential service to the community. So you are not going to follow through as closing down. So how has that affected, how has it changed the way you have been doing the food pantry?
Sure. So it was interesting. The month of March, we saw a real transition. So we are open on Saturdays. So on March 14th, we still did not have any shutdown orders from the governor. So March 14th, we were allowing up to 6 clients in the food pantry at one time. All of our volunteers, we had tape on the floor, and we were keeping everybody outside and distant. We were sanitizing in between. We were rotating. Every pen got sanitized as soon as someone signed in, and our volunteers were more than 6 feet away from the client line at the cabinets to really ensure everyone wearing gloves, and we were cleaning in between clients. And so that worked for the 14th, and then the next day, the state's guidance came out and businesses were shut down, and there was some strict social distancing being recommended. And so we made the decision that we would convert to an outdoor operation at that point, and no clients would be allowed inside the food pantry. And I very strictly limited the number of volunteers allowed inside the food pantry. So typically on a Saturday when we're open, we have anywhere from 12 to 15 volunteers helping at various points around the pantry. Marilyn and I usually are freed up to be moving in between everyone and getting things here and there and just making sure everyone's taken care of. And that's very different from how we're operating now. So except for the 4 of us in my family, we don't allow anyone else inside the food pantry when we're open. I told Marilyn, as much as I hated to, I had to tell her to stay home. I wanted to make sure we minimize the risk as much as possible. And I said the same to all of our regular volunteers as well, that I want them to come back when it's safe and when it's healthy and we can keep everybody safe. And so what we did is we got creative. So now on a Saturday, Marty and Aiden are outside the food pantry with clipboards, and they have on their clipboards a checklist of all the food items available in the food pantry that week. So I customize the checklist every week based on our inventory. And then our clients line up on Peach Street. We closed down one of the roadways where Church meets Holliston Street to improve traffic flow. The Medway police were great. They've allowed us to use official barriers so that we can direct our traffic. And the clients line up in their cars. Marty and Aiden have them roll down their windows, and they will take their name. If they're new to the food pantry, they'll also take their basic address and household information. And then they run through the checklist. Essentially, it's taking an order. Clients can say what they need. We feel very strongly about maintaining choice for as long as possible. And then once those orders have been completed by Marty and Aiden, they bring them inside. And Liam and I are inside with a system ready to go. We've got our bags ready, and we go through all the cabinets and we pick the non-perishables. We grab the frozen, the refrigerated, all the food they need, pack them up in a box, and out they go on a dolly. Those go right into someone's trunk, and then they can head back off. So we've really tried to minimize contact as much as possible because we realize it's important for us to maintain our health so that we can stay open for everyone.
Yeah, and also keep the clients safe too. And this is essentially a drive-through food pantry, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely. It's funny, we never thought we'd be doing it. We
yeah,
even did it in the snow last Saturday. It was snowing and raining and windy, and it was wet, but we had 32 families come, and so, which is actually fewer than we've been seeing. We've been seeing anywhere from 53, 56, 58 families come on a Saturday. But 32 still braved. It was still snowing, and so people had to brave the streets and clean their cars off, and we knew they were coming, and we wanted to make sure we'd be there for them.
Yeah. No, it's such a blessing. And you know, one of the things that I have when I've been at the food pantry, actually the first time I came to just see what happens, one of the things that I just got drawn with was the dignity that the food pantry serves with. I've used the food pantry in different places as a student when I was studying up in the North Shore, and it felt different being here. Just the dignity, how people interacted with, how people line up. You don't keep them outside, you allow them to come in, have a seat, have a chat, and then you also have time to share the Word of God with them as well. So it's really a ministry, in a sense, trying to reach the holistic, the whole person. So thank you very much for doing that. And one of the things that I've seen is that this is an ongoing service, even in the midst of this lockdown. And what kind of help are you getting? What kind of thank yous can you give? Just let us know how people are helping.
Absolutely. So the outpouring of support that we've received in this time has been nothing short of remarkable. We have seen, initially, we were still accepting food donations because people were still able to drop off food for us through the month of March. We were still able to accept that. And then we were overwhelmed. It became prohibitive for us to keep up with making sure we were following the safety precautions. So if a donation came in, we have to let it sit for at least 3 days before we go through and sort it, because of the best understanding of our health officials for how long the virus can last on different surfaces, and we wanted to minimize the risk. And so what we found is we had to switch to, if anyone wanted to support us, we requested they send a monetary donation. And the response was extraordinary. We are receiving just an incredible outpouring of support. People are sending us checks. We've had people, Marty and Aiden will come into the food pantry and hand me cash that they said people just walked up to them and said, here, I want to support the food pantry, and handed them cash. It's unbelievable. We've had organizations give us checks, and we've gotten $1,000 checks from organizations. We got a grant from the Foundation for Metro West for emergency funding. We're getting funding from Exelon Generation here in town. They've been a tremendous support and a tremendous partner. And they reached out and said, what do you need? How can we help? And we were absolutely blown away by the response. So it's just been phenomenal. I've had calls from people saying, what can I do? Let me take up a collection in my neighborhood and I'll see what I can come up with. And then they give me a check for $400, knowing that they've then also given $400 to the other food pantry in town. It's been phenomenal. And I can't begin to thank in words everyone who's given us the support, because right now what we're finding is the supply chain is starting to empty a little bit with the Greater Boston Food Bank. So we do orders twice a month, and I noticed it beginning with our second order in March. So we ordered for March 25th delivery date. And at that time, they had no eggs, and they did still have a little bit of milk, but they had a lot of staple items were starting to dwindle. So I did an order at the beginning of April, and they were out of milk. They were out of peanut butter. They were out of cereal. They were out of rice. and I just did the order that I have that's arriving today, they don't even have canned vegetables left. I was only able to get canned peaches, no other canned fruits. We were able to still get some frozen items, and they made some frozen vegetables available, which is great. But it's definitely forced us to look into other sources. So we have a partnership with the Shaw's grocery store here in town, and they've been fantastic. So the manager there, Barbara, is terrific. We have each other's cell phone numbers, so we have a great relationship. And if I tell her I need certain items, she'll add them to her weekly truck delivery orders and then allow me to purchase them from the store. So it's been a great way for us to try and maintain the supply when we know that the Greater Boston Food Bank is struggling to keep items in their warehouse for us.
Yeah, I heard that the Greater Boston Food Bank has really picked up in terms of their service, serving lots and lots of food to different food pantries as the situation is getting worse and worse for most people. So, so that's one of the challenges I think that we want to know, that the food chain can be a struggle as time goes. So it's something that people can support and also pray for as a church. What other challenges do you feel that we can be praying for you and praying for the people?
I would say just continued prayer for everyone's protection. We're doing everything we can, and we turn it over to God. We know that it's ultimately not in our hands. We're taking all the safety precautions that we possibly can. So, we pray every day for continued health and strength to allow us to continue. And then we know that God has always supplied our food pantry. I don't worry about not having food. I never have. Even in this situation, I refuse to worry about not having food, because even when I have no idea how we're going to get it, we've had trouble in the past where we would be out of meat, and I would have 2 days before we were supposed to be open, and I'd have 7 items in my freezer. And I'd get a phone call from an organization I'd never heard of, and they'd say, "Hey, we just went and picked up a whole bunch of things from a local grocery store, and do you have room in your freezer?" And lo and behold, up pulls a truck, and 4 cases of meat come right into my pantry right in time. We have never wanted for anything, and I have all the faith and confidence in the world that that will continue. We just have to remain faithful. We have to do everything that we can, and God will provide. This is His food pantry, and we are His servants and doing the work that He wants done. So as people continue to pray for that, just be confident in that prayer and be trusting, because we do know that He's in control and He has a plan for us. And if we continue to do all that we can, He will absolutely provide.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. You are actually doing an awesome job for the community and for God. And thank you very much. Thank you for being available to share with us, with the church, to pray with you and the community as well, whoever is going to be able to see this. And one thing I think before we go, how can people help? And then we will close this.
Sure. So right now, and this is so strange for us, because usually we solicit donations of food. If we say, "How can you help?" we always give people a list of things when they're out at the grocery store. We actually don't want people to be going and doing shopping for us, because we have safer ways to obtain the food, to be doing it through truck deliveries at Shaw's or just through the Greater Boston Food Bank. It's much safer that way. So the way to support us is any monetary donation that they wish to make. We are 100% of our funding goes to purchasing the food. None of us, we don't spend money on anything else. We spend it only on the food, and we're very careful to be good stewards of that. And so any monetary donation that people want to make is a way that they can support us. And a check can be made payable to the Medway Village Church Food Pantry and mailed directly to our location at 170 Village Street here in Medway.
No, thank you very much once again to you and your family for this work that you're doing for the community. And thank you.
Thank you. it's truly a privilege. It's something that I'm very grateful we have the opportunity to do. And I would just share that I miss everybody. It's not the same. I look forward to getting back to that sense of normalcy, that fellowship that we have. So we're doing it at a distance now, but I want to let everyone know that I know you're praying, because I can feel it and it strengthens us. And I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.